Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. As you just saw, we now have a introduction to our videos. I hope everybody likes it. We've had it for a while now as far as having it downloaded. It just took a while to figure out how to get it onto the YouTube page. So let us know how much you enjoy it and let us feel appreciated by letting us know that you greatly appreciate and greatly enjoy our new introduction. But on to today's video, and I'm going to do this for two reasons. One is to show that I can talk about stuff besides what's happening in the local area, and for two, I've got a real good friend named Amy, and she lives all the way out in South Dakota. So I'm going to do this to let everybody know that I do keep up with stuff besides what happens in the local area, and to show my friend Amy some support for her supporting our channel all the way out in South Dakota. Today's video is going to be about college football, and I'm going to talk about the South Dakota State Jackrabbits because they won this past Saturday by beating Delaware by the score of 33-3. Now, I watched the entire game because they don't come on TV a whole lot normally, but since FCS is playing their football season in the spring of 2021 instead of the fall of 2020, they're on TV right now. And because I knew that if they won, they would play for the FCS National Championship, and the game was on. And I personally like to watch college football all year long, not just in the fall. So it was on. I thought, hey, I'll check it out. So I'll give a quick preview of their game coming up this Sunday, also a quick review of their game from this past Saturday, and then I'm going to give some early season thoughts on the Clemson Georgia game. I'm not picking a winner. I'm just going to give some quick thoughts on what I think both teams need to do in order to win the game, but it's way too early, in my opinion, to pick a winner yet, so I'm not going to do that. But as I said, Sam Houston State beat James Madison by the score of 38-35, so that is who South Dakota State will play this upcoming Sunday for the FCS National Championship. Now, Sam Houston State is the Bearcats, but it's Bearcats with a K instead of a C, and South Dakota State beat Delaware 33-3, so they'll play this upcoming Sunday afternoon at 2:30, I believe, for the FCS National Championship. Now, South Dakota State is in Brookings, South Dakota, and they're always just about a playoff team. This was their 9th straight year, I believe, in the playoffs, but it's the first time ever that they're going to play for the FCS National Championship. Of course, they're the South Dakota State Jackrabbits is their full name, but their jerseys just say Jacks. They're coached by John Steigelmeyer. He's been there 24 years, and he's won 175 games, which is a little over 7 wins a year. And, of course, FCS isn't like FBS. They only play 10 games a year, sometimes 11. So when you win about 7.5 games a year, that's pretty successful. And this is the first time ever he's going to play for the national championship. They destroyed Delaware. Now, if you've ever seen Delaware, they look like Michigan. Look just like you're watching Michigan. Same helmets, same color, everything, but it's the Delaware Fighting Blue Hens. And Delaware has won 6 national championships at the FCS level, but they have not won one since 2003. And I thought this was going to be a good game, and that's why I was excited about watching it. And it started out as a good game, but then by halftime, South Dakota State just ran away with it. Now, Delaware has a quarterback whose name is Nolan Henderson. He's a very good player, but he actually got injured in the game they played the week prior and came back this week, but just did not look the same. But he only missed one series. He took one hard hit and missed one series and came back in. He is their leader, you could tell, but he just did not look 100%, but he was still better than their backup. But his overall numbers, he was 18 of 21 for 142 yards, which is just not good. But he was still better than their backup. But the game was totally dominated by South Dakota State. Now, South Dakota State's got a quarterback whose name is Mark Gronowski. Now, if you recall, about 20 years ago, Toledo had a quarterback named Gradkowski. And, of course, now in the NFL, you have the tight end Gronkowski. This guy's name is Gronowski. So all three names sound similar, but they're all three totally different. He's only a freshman, and he only got named the starting quarterback a couple of weeks before the season started. But he told the coach, "You will not regret this." But his numbers for the game Saturday, he was 10 of 16 for 162 yards, but he only had 162 yards because at halftime they were up, I believe, 27-3. So in the second half, he didn't have to do anything. Their leading running back, Pierre Strong, had 14 carries for 73 yards and a touchdown. Their leading receiver, Jackson Yankee, it's spelt Janke, but it's pronounced Yankee. He had 3 catches for 64 yards and a touchdown. And the running back Strong also had a touchdown throw on a reverse play they did about midway in the second quarter. So it was complete domination over Delaware. Sam Houston State struggled, but they did beat James Madison. So this upcoming Sunday afternoon will be the FCS championship between South Dakota State and Sam Houston State. I believe the game time is 2:30. I'm pretty sure that's the game time. They'll play in Frisco, Texas. Now, if you follow FCS, you know normally almost every year North Dakota State is there, but not this year. And a couple of years ago, James Madison won the national championship. So this year you're going to have Sam Houston State against South Dakota State. It's going to be a good game, but I'm going to go ahead and make my prediction and say that I think South Dakota State will win their first ever national championship and give John Steigelmeier his first championship in 24 years as a head coach. So if you watched either of those two playoff games from this past Saturday, or if you're going to watch the national championship game this upcoming Sunday, let me know if you agree with me or not. I think it's going to be a good game, but I do think South Dakota State will come out victorious. But as long as it's a good game, that's really all that matters. You don't want to see either team win 33-3. You'd more like to see a game like Sam Houston State beating James Madison 38-35. Nobody wants to watch a national championship game where the game is over at halftime. Championship games are supposed to be competitive, so hopefully, no matter who wins, it will be competitive. But I think that South Dakota State will win the game, and I'm sure that will make my friend Amy all the way out in South Dakota very happy if South Dakota State does win their first national championship this upcoming Sunday afternoon. And now on to some quick thoughts about the Clemson and Georgia game. Like I said, I'm not going to pick a winner, just going to give my personal opinion of a couple of key factors for both teams if they're going to win the game. We'll start with Georgia on their side of the ball. Now, I know they say they're going to open it up this year with JT Daniels and finally become the spread team that they've been wanting to become forever. But they said that last year, and they did that for the most part until they played Kentucky, and they threw the ball, I think, 8 times the entire game. If that's their game plan when they play Clemson, they'll get destroyed. You're not going to play Clemson and throw the ball 8 times and win the game, so they're going to have a passing attack. But at the same time, they are going to have to run the ball because Clemson is going to have one of the best, if not the best, defensive line in the country. And I don't think Georgia's offensive line is going to be as good this year as it was last year. So if they try to drop back and throw the ball 50 times, it's going to put Georgia in a lot of second and longs and a lot of third and longs. And that's not going to help them be successful. If you recall, a few years back when Clemson had Dexter Lawrence and Austin Bryant and all those guys on the defensive line, they were called the Power Rangers. And 3 of the 4 defensive linemen that year went in the first round of the NFL draft. The defensive line they're going to have this year is going to be, if not as good, it's going to be close. It's 3 or 4 first-round NFL draft picks, so they're going to be dominant. So Georgia is not going to be able to drop back and throw the ball 50 times and win the game, but they're going to have to throw the ball more than 8 times. So I think it's very, very key for Georgia to have a balanced attack, or as close to balanced as you can be, if they're going to win that game. And they're also going to have to get some improvement from their secondary. It is very clear that Georgia's weakness last year was their secondary, and now this year, Kirby Smart's not saying it, but if you read between the lines and what he's saying in practice, he's worried about their secondary. I do think that the player that Clemson kicked off their team was going to go to Georgia until he got in trouble again, and now I think Darion Kendrick's football playing days are over with, but I do think he was going to go to Georgia, and he would have been a starting cornerback if he would have went to Georgia, but he got in trouble again. So I think his football playing days are over with. On the other side of the ball for Clemson, I think Clemson is going to have to find another running back besides Lynn J. Dixon. If you recall, Lynn J. Dixon has been Travis Etienne's backup for the last 3 years, but he's been very, very inconsistent. He'll come on the field and have a 20-yard run, and you think, man, this kid's going to be good. And then the rest of the game, he'll get 5 carries for -3 yards. So they're going to have to get something from Lynn J. Dixon, and they're going to have to find another running back because Etienne is gone now. And DeMarcus Bowman, who was a 5-star, who I think had a chance to be really, really good, actually transferred during last season. And then another running back came out last week and said he was transferring. So now it's Lynn J. Dixon, and I'm guessing Kobe Pace is going to be their top 2 running backs. But they're going to have to get something from Lynn J. Dixon because he can't have 1 carry for 15 yards and then 10 carries for 2 yards if he's going to be their starting running back. But it's pretty much going to be him and Kobe Pace for right now until they find that third running back, now that Etienne is gone and Bowman has transferred and Dukes has transferred. And they're also going to have to get something from their passing game because Amari Rodgers is gone. And, of course, they've got Justin Ross back, but Justin Ross didn't play last year. He was out with that neck injury, and I hope they don't think they're going to come out against Georgia and throw the ball to Ross 25 times because it's not good his first game back playing a top 5 team, getting the ball thrown his direction 25 times. So hopefully they can get something from their receiving corps besides Justin Ross. And I also think Clemson's weakness is their secondary. Last year, their defense was good, but it wasn't great. But normally, under Brent Venables, the defense is great. They've been top 10 defense every year that he's been there. I don't think this year is going to be any different. But when they played Ohio State, their secondary got torched. I mean, absolutely torched. So if their secondary hasn't improved at all from that Ohio State game, if JT Daniels has time to throw, Clemson secondary is going to get torched. So hopefully they will be able to put pressure on him from their defensive front and their linebackers because Clemson's linebacking group is also going to be really, really good. That's just a couple of my thoughts going into the season. Of course, the game is still 3.5 months away, so I'm nowhere near going to make a prediction on who I think will win the game, but I do think it will be a good game no matter who wins the game. What I would like to see happen would be Clemson-Georgia play, first game of the season. No matter who wins, I'd like to see a great game. If either team wins by more than 10 points, honestly, I'll be surprised. I think it's going to be a good game, but I would love to see Clemson and Georgia play a good competitive game no matter who wins. And then both teams make the playoffs, and then don't play each other in the first round, and both win their first-round playoff game, and then play again for the national championship. I can't think of a better way for a football season to go than to have Clemson-Georgia play in the opening game, and then have Clemson-Georgia play again for the national championship. I think that would be a great, great thing. And I also think it'd be great if that happened and both games were really, really competitive, especially the first game of the year. Nobody wants to sit back and wait 6 months, 7 months for football to start, and then you see the schedule when your opening game is against some top 5 team and you think, man, it's going to be a good game. And then you get out there, and then at halftime, one team's got 35 and the other team has 7. Because that you feel like, man, I wasted 6 months waiting on this game, and this is what I get. So hopefully it'll be a good game, and I really do feel like it'll be a very competitive game. I have not even looked at the point spread yet because I know it's going to change 5,000 times by September. But if either team is favored by more than 3 or 4 points, I'll be surprised either way because I think it's going to be a competitive game no matter who wins. I just wanted to give a couple of thoughts on some keys I think they have for both teams as we head into the opening game of the season. And before we get out of here, I'll give you my dad joke of the day. People say being a waiter is a bad job, but hey, it puts food on the table. And that wraps it up for another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. And like I said earlier, hopefully everybody enjoyed our introduction now. It took us a while to get it on there, but we now have one, so now we feel like we're actually YouTubers. It makes you feel at home when you actually have your own introduction. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them.